Hello, hi everyone. Today we are going to see about we're going to learn about the Systemverilog fork join any, and join none. So, what is the difference between these three, and how does it really execute and work in the real life? I also have a coding example with the difference that shows the difference between the fork join any, and fork join none in the EDA playground. We'll see the example with the live simulation. Let's understand how does the fork join would work. This is one of the basic interview questions that most of the interviewers target this fork join related questions to understand, to make sure to make sure the candidate really understand the concept of Verilog. Hope this video will be really helpful to you to understand the concept. Let me explain about how the things will work. So if we look at the this flow chart, what I put together, there is a main thread. From the main thread, there are three child thread, right? I'm just gave an example of three child thread. It could be more than three also. Now, from the main thread, you want to make sure this child threads are getting executed first, and then once this is complete, or there is a difference between the main thread and then the child thread. How you want to execute from the main thread to the child thread, the different combinations of things is what we can do with the fork join any, and join none. So let's look at the logical representation of the fork join. How does it really work? Now I have the child thread 1, 2 and 3 are present here, right? Now if you use a fork join, that means it is forking from the main thread, and then it is trying to execute these three threads, child thread 1, 2 and 3. Now the join would wait for all these three threads to complete. It won't disable, or discard, or execute main thread parallelly. There's no such thing. It wait for all these three threads to be completed. That's why I put that like a AND logic, a logical equivalent of that. Fork join is like a AND logic. That means it will make sure that all the child processes are complete. For example, this thread 1 completes in 10 nanosecond, and thread 3 would take like 100 nanosecond. The join would wait for the child thread 3 to complete before it come out of the loop, right? So that's where this fork join would make sure that all these three threads has been completed, even though one would take longer time. Suppose if one of the thread is not complete, it is hang in the simulation. What it will do? This thread won't come out of it. The fork join won't come out of it. It will just hang, and then the simulation timeout. It will just exit the loop as part of the UVM fatal error, or UVM error that says that it's running out of the simulation time. So the fork join always makes sure that all this thread is completed, absolutely completed before it goes to the before it restart the main thread. That's the use of fork join. Now join any, how does it work? If you see, it's like I put the logical equivalent, the logical understanding. If you do, it's like OR gate. That means any one of the input is equal to 1. It is like it will come out of the loop. So for example, if the child thread 1, 2 and 3, in this example, if thread 2 is like taking 20 nanosecond, that's the fastest loop. The rest all, like child thread 1 may take like 100 nanosecond, thread 3 may take 300 nanosecond, child thread 2 may take 20 nanosecond to execute. It just wait for the 20. It just, once the child thread 2 is finished, after 20 nanosecond, it just come out of the loop. But it's not like it's going to disable the rest of the thread. The rest of the thread would execute. Thread 1 will go, thread 3 will go in parallel with the main thread. But once the child thread 2 completes, it is join any. That means any one is complete, it comes out of the fork join, and the main thread and the rest of the two threads will run in the background along with the main thread. That's the meaning of it. Now join none. How does join none work? Join none is like, there is a main thread, and also there is a, all the child threads. Everything will execute in parallel. It's like a buffer, right? It doesn't wait for the join and doesn't wait for any of this child thread to be complete. It Everything runs in parallel along with the main thread. That's the meaning of join none. Let's go to the EDA playground and look at the real coding example. How does it work? Hello. Yeah, we are in the EDA playground right now. If you look at this, the code what I have, that's a task A, which runs for 30 nanosecond. Task B, 20 nanosecond. Task C, which is the smallest duration, 10 nanosecond. So C always run faster, then B, then A. That's the order. C, B, A. That's how the task will complete, because it is C is with running with 10 nanosecond, which is the shortest duration. Now the task run 1, which is calling all these 3 tasks A, B, C, and then I use fork join. Task run 2, I use fork join any, that calls the task A and B and C. Task run 3, I use fork join none, that calls the task A, B and C, like 3 tasks. So each task will call all the 3 tasks of A, B, C. So now I'm executing in the module all the 3 runs, the 3 tasks of run 1, run 2 and run 3. Run 1 is for the fork join, run 2 is for the fork join any, run 3 is for the fork join none. Let's see how does this will work. I'm just going to run the simulation. Okay, so if you look at this, the running the task 1, first one is the display statement. If you see, there is a task 1 is running. In task 1, if you see, the C is completing faster, because as we know, C has less time of 10 nanosecond. So this is completing fast in 10 nanosecond, then 20 nanosecond task B, task A is running in 30 nanosecond. Task 2, running task 2 is for the join any, which means that it is like it doesn't wait for all the tasks to complete. It is like a running the things in parallel. Now the running task 3. So task 2 is starting with the task 2 is starting with the task C, and then again task 3, which is like a fork join none, is also starting with the task C as the next one. Again, this is for the task 2 and task 3. Task 2 is running the task A and task 3 is running the task A, right? So you can see that it's all like parallel executing, because it's join any and join none. But the fork join would wait for all 3 to be completed, right? Without completion of all the 3 tasks, it's not coming out of the loop. But join any and join none is executing it parallelly, and join any, once the task C is complete, it will come out of the loop, and task 3, it's executing things parallelly, because it's join none. It's not waiting for anything to happen. That's why you are seeing that these two are running in parallel. Now let's see the just for example, I'm going to add the disable fork. Disable fork means that once this fork join, once it's come out of this fork join loop, it will disable the fork. It won't wait for, it will just kill the rest of the task whichever is running. It won't wait for it to complete. It will kill the thread that is already running. So that killing the thread is what is this disable fork is doing. So it won't wait for the completion of the thread. Now let's see how does it execute. So I add the disable fork for each of the fork join any and fork join none. All the 3 has a disable fork right now, which will disable the fork after the join command executed. It will disable the thread whatever is executed. Let's see how does it work. Okay, if you see that running the task 1 is all the 3 tasks is completed, right? The task 1 is a fork join. So fork join, make sure that task A, B, C, everything is completed. Running task 2. Task 2 is just started, and then it is trying to execute it. Then in the meantime, if you see that we add the disable fork, because we add the disable fork, it's not completing the task. It's disabling the task and then coming out of it. Join none, it won't wait for any of this task, even single task also to complete. Join none. So that means it's none of the task is getting executed. It's just coming out of the loop and then disabling the fork. So this make the clear differentiation. Fork join means it is like making all the task is completed. It's like AND logic, which makes sure everything is done. The fork join any will make sure any one of the thread which is like completing and coming out of it. Fork join none doesn't wait for any other thread. So that's what this disable fork means here, which is like disabling all the thread and coming out of the loop.